Hello and thanks for joining us on NTA International News at this hour. I'm Dennis Adegunloye. First, let's take the headlines. President Buhari applauds Nigerian media for good work on occasion of this year's World Press Freedom Day celebration. Kwara State Polytechnic fabricates pedal-operated dispenser for hand washing. Plus, African Union tasks member countries on local production of personal protective equipment. All right, so let's begin with Mr. President, who has reiterated the commendation he extended to the Nigerian media in his last two broadcasts to the country, applauding the good work they have done and are still doing as the nation confronts COVID-19, the unseen enemy. In a message by the Special Advisor to the President, Media and Publicity, Femi Adesina, on the occasion of World Press Freedom Day, celebrated every May 3rd, President Buhari said the role of the media in keeping people informed and educated on the pernicious virus cannot be overemphasized. He applauds the role the Nigerian media has played thus far and charges that they continue until the world and our country are finally free of this greatest health challenge in recent history. Reflecting on the theme of World Press Freedom Day 2020, Media for Democracy, Journalism and Elections in Times of Disinformation, President Buhari notes that Nigeria has a very unhealthy dose of disinformation, fake news, hate news pervaded by people who use media platforms, particularly the digital variant. United States approves emergency use of Ebola drug treatments for coronavirus as confirmed cases in Africa surpass 40,000. This and more on Global Update on Coronavirus Pandemic.
...238 new coronavirus cases have been confirmed in Nigeria. The Nigerian Center for Disease Control released the figure at about 11 p.m. local time on 1st May 2020. In total, Nigeria now has 2,170 cases. From this figure, Lagos, Kano, FCT, Gombe and Borno State are topping the chart, while Kebbi, Anambra, Plateau and Benue have their places below the table. So far, the country has recorded 68 deaths, while 351 persons have been discharged. In Africa, 53 member states of the African Union have reported 40,746 cases of coronavirus disease, with 1,698 deaths and 13,383 recoveries. The United States Food and Drug Administration has authorized emergency use of an Ebola drug for treating people who are hospitalized with severe COVID-19. A recent clinical trial showed the drug helped shorten the recovery time for people who were seriously ill. However, it did not significantly improve survival rates. Tally from Johns Hopkins dashboard at about 6:30 p.m. Nigerian time shows that globally 3,430,875 persons have been infected by COVID-19, with 240,974 deaths, while 1,094,872 recoveries have been made.
Now, as contact tracing for COVID-19 continues in various states of Nigeria, the Society Against COVID-19 has urged the Nigeria Center for Disease Control to supply testing kits to all states of the Federation, including those yet to record any case of the coronavirus. Correspondent Obiageli Ugwoke reports that this is a proactive step to ensuring that the states stay free from the virus.
Nigeria is working to deploy testing kits to all states in the country. However, protecting the two states, Cross River and Kogi, which are yet to record any case, remains imperative to health workers and Society Committee Against Coronavirus.
to be sincere and fair to NCDC. They have done well. So I want to use this opportunity to thank them for what they are doing. But I am appealing to them that they should also do more and challenge their energy now to Kano State, where we are now having a very high index cases.
The group recommends setting up more testing centers in Kano and deploying available testing kits towards his states lacking in prevention and management.
So many of them do not believe there's anything like coronavirus. They don't understand what you're saying. I saw some people washing their hands and drinking the water. What are you saying? This is height of ignorance. And then at the end of the day, you see them penetrating into other states. So we need to stop it. We've already compiled. We're going to Kano State, we're going to Rivers, the Cross River, and so many other states. We're working with the governors.
Society Committee Against Coronavirus is to mobilize resources and sensitize people in local dialects to complement government efforts to curb the pandemic. Obiageli Ugoke, NTA News.
And in Borno State, as the state palliative committees to ease the suffering of the indigent, internally displaced persons and physically challenged has sustained the distribution of food items across the state. Out of the 60,000 households targeted within Maiduguri, the state capital, a significant number have received the palliative support in the two most populated metropolitan local governments. Yagumus Buka has an update.
Since Governor Babagana Umar Zulum flagged off distribution of the palliative in one of the internally displaced persons camps, the committee has sustained the exercise to the targeted 60,000 households within Maiduguri, the state capital. Most densely populated areas of Maiduguri Metropolitan Council and general local government, in addition to IDP camps, were on top of the list requiring urgent palliative support. Already, Gondi 1 and 2, Custom and Muna IDP camps, in addition to several wards, have received their consignment, while 50% were given to the most vulnerable members of the community.
Excellency is thinking of the where the COVID started, like Fulka and the area. So from there, we proceed to the other local governments.
Beneficiaries were grateful to Borno State government for the support to cushion the hardship resulting from the COVID-19 lockdown. In Maiduguri, Yagum Subukar, NTA News.
As the federal government seeks ways of curbing the spread of COVID-19, one very effective means has been the limiting of convergence of people in large numbers. This necessitated the imposition of the lockdown order, which has had an adverse effect on the daily sustenance of some Nigerians. Consequently, there has been the distribution of palliatives by the federal government, NGOs and individuals to lessen the burden on the vulnerable. Now, to throw more light on this development, we have in the studio Kenneth Iyo, the National Coordinator, Society Committee Against COVID-19. Glad to have you on NTA International News. Glad to have you on the program, sir.
Okay, thank you very much.
All right. With the hardship occasioned by COVID-19, what role is the society playing in ensuring that the vulnerable have some palliatives to sustain their families?
All right. The Society Committee Against COVID-19 is doing a lot to support Nigerians. We have started palliative distribution, and we are taking that to Suleja on Tuesday next week. Because we realize that the distribution of palliatives is more within the urban centers. And so there is the need to take this support to the rural areas. So on Tuesday, we will be commencing distribution of foods and hygienic materials in Suleja. And also on Thursday, we will be going to another village after Nyanya called Guagalape to also identify those who really need this support, because the way these distributions go, it's not quite those that need the support that actually get the support. So we'll put machinery in process. We'll send field officers to identify those that need these materials and these palliatives, and eventually we'll be able to reach them. That's how we go about it in Soko COVID.
All right. Is there any collaboration between civil society organizations and government in this regard?
All right. The Society Against Committee Against COVID-19 is already a platform for NGOs and civil societies. We came together to become stronger because each of our NGOs, we may not have all the funding to be able to do this work. So we decided to put resources together under the name SOCO COVID. At the moment, we have not we are yet to go into collaboration with government. But I would like to say here that in trying to solve this problem of fight against COVID-19 or fight against hunger, the government cannot do it alone. So we need a coordinated approach to be able to have a synergy with government. Because sometimes you see one different NGO going to the same place, 5 times over. So there need to be a collaboration, a good partnership with government, and we'll be doing that in the next day ahead to be able to see how we can work with government in palliative distribution.
All right, and in your efforts so far, how far have you gone in terms of the distribution of these palliatives to vulnerable groups?
Come again?
So far, how far have you gone with regards to distribution of these palliatives to the vulnerable?
Okay, like I said earlier, we had commenced. We did one in Gariki. We went to Chief Palace and we supported the indigents in Gariki. But how far have we gone and how far do we intend to go is just another matter. Yeah. We intend to move further with it. We also intend to ensure that we are not just sending food, but we're ensuring that the community is in compliance with the rules to ensure that COVID-19, so that we can prevent the spread of COVID-19, which is very important. Because right now, we are not sure that 80% of Nigerians really know what to do. So as we are going along with palliatives, our campaign mechanism will also be activated. Using horn speakers, using vehicles, the speakers are mounted on them to ensure that people understand what to do, so that as the lockdown is partially going to be open next week, we will not begin to have cases of rise in infection in Nigeria.
All right, Kenneth Iyo, National Coordinator of the Society Committee Against COVID-19. Thanks very much for sharing your thoughts with us on NTA International News.
Thank you for having me.
All right. And now the African Union is challenging member countries to prioritize local production of personal protective equipment and ventilators to support the manufacturing sector, which will create wealth and jobs. Here is Justin Bem with details.
Now, this was a part of the takeaways from the AU virtual meeting of the third extraordinary session of Specialized Technical Committee on Education, Science and Technology, chaired by Dr. Elioda Tumwesige and co-chaired by Professor Sarah Agbo. Minister of State for Science and Technology, Mohammed Abdullahi, represented Nigeria at the meeting, which centered on strategic response of member states to coronavirus pandemic for Africa to introduce modern technology for delivery of relevant education, training and certification. Other resolutions at the meeting were that AU country members must strengthen their research institutions by way of increased funding, as well as facilitate and promote collaboration of African researchers.
We must also live within the spirit of the concert resolutions. If the Commissioner will recall, the ComStat in, I think, February 2020 agreed on additional funding for R&D and science and tech. So I think we must live within the spirit of the concert resolutions and ensure that we ramp up our efforts towards science and technology.
The African Union Commission is uniquely positioned to collaborate with the private sector while collaborating with the Ministry of Education, Science and Technology to bring out mitigating response to COVID-19, especially the provision and deployment of internet facilities to promote online learning.
You're on to the news on NTA International. More stories after this short timeout. Stay with us.
This is to say a big thank you to all the healthcare workers who put their lives on the line, working in all the 36 states of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, especially Lagos, Kano, Ogun, and Abuja, to ensure that we beat COVID-19 in the least possible time. Thank you so much. You are our superheroes. This message is from the Governor's Wife's Forum, the wife of the Vice President and the First Lady of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Thanks for remaining with us. Now, Kim Jong-un has appeared in public for the first time in 20 days, says North Korean state media. KCNA news agency reports that the North Korean leader cut the ribbon at the opening of a fertilizer factory where people broke into thunderous cheers on seeing him. His recent appearance is the first since an event on state media on the 12th of April amid global speculation over his health. Back home, Vice President Emir says Nigeria will overcome all the socio-economic challenges associated with COVID-19 and the country will become stronger. The Vice President stated this during his interaction at the 2020 edition of the platform themed Nigeria's Battle Against COVID-19, speaking specifically about how the country can transform the challenges caused by the pandemic into opportunities for economic diversification and job creation. The Vice President said prioritizing use of local resources and creating local jobs in the construction and allied industry, among others, will be critical in sustaining the economy in the post-COVID-19 era. In the area of agriculture, the Vice President said government's initial policies have saved the country from the huge forex burden of food imports and related activities. On mitigating the fallout of the COVID-19 pandemic, such as inflation, the Vice President said governments would focus on improving productivity and improving food stock across the country. The platform is an annual discussion program of the Covenant Christian Center that features discussions around the state of the Nigerian nation and its development. The All Progressives Congress welcomes views by the former Vice President Atiku Abubakar on the suggestions he made to the President Muhammadu Buhari-led administration on the need to diversify Nigeria's economy. The party's spokesman, Lanre Issa Onilu, in a statement says despite the challenges as a result of failure by previous governments and the reality of the global economy as far back as 2016, President Muhammadu Buhari has initiated laudable programs such as the Anchor Borrowers Program, an intervention policy primarily aimed at giving farmers access to finance. The statement also adds that the APC-led government through the CBN has also made available huge funds to cotton farmers, a move geared towards reviving the moribund textile factories, thereby creating millions of direct and indirect jobs. Members of the Alumni Association of the National Institute for Policy and Strategic Studies, AANI, have commended the federal government for the various measures put in place to contain the coronavirus pandemic. The association equally commended the sacrifice and steadfastness of all frontline workers in the war against the pandemic. While commiserating with those bereaved as a result of the virus, President Muhammadu Buhari's directive to deploy human and material resources to support and strengthen the Kano state government in handling the situation is a display of leadership propelled by genuine concern for the citizenry. While appreciating donations to support the federal government's efforts, the Alumni Association called on Nigerians to heed to government's directives to stay safe and stay alive. Now, the mandatory use of non-medical face masks or covering in all public places is part of the guidelines and one of the enforceable actions, including the ease of the lockdown to commence on Monday, 4th of May. Joshua Ojuto speaks with residents of Abuja on how prepared they are to comply with this directive.
Monday, the 4th of May, the use of face masks is compulsory in Abuja and most parts of Nigeria as part of measures to flatten the curve of COVID-19. Now, how well do Nigerians know about the use of face masks and other measures put in place by government to contain the spread of coronavirus in Nigeria?
You use the face mask before you enter market, before you enter bank, before you enter petroleum, whatever, the 24 hours, you can use it. It's very good. I help myself.
Even when I'm going out, I observe. I don't go to where crowd is and all the rest.
The face mask is actually great. It actually protects us from, getting the virus or inheriting the virus. But it must be used properly. If you're not using it properly, you're causing more harm than, good. Let me also add that another thing which we've not been emphasizing on, hygiene. General hygiene is very important in boosting our immune system.
Meanwhile, residents of Abuja enjoyed 8 hours window to enable them restock food items, bringing about gridlock in parts of the capital city. In Abuja, Joshua Ojito, NTA News.
A little on security now, and troops of Operation Lafia Dole have upscaled the onslaught against Boko Haram terrorist group, with a view to finally eliminating the remnants of the insurgents. Defense correspondent Ismail Musa has details of the troops' deployment and advancement.
No going back once we commence. Is that clear?
It all began with silent but progressive campaign and planning for final onslaught against Boko Haram terrorist group that have killed and displaced thousands of people in the northeast Nigeria. Different platforms and experts were mobilized.
We make sure that we get ourselves properly equipped, properly motivated. We need that courage and determination.
By the grace of God, this is the final assault, and victory is there waiting for us.
What we need from Nigerians is just prayers, and we assure them that this time around we are fully geared up and fully prepared with the presence of the Foreign staff to ensure a lasting end to the insurgency.
With this poisonous chemistry and array of equipment, troops of Operation Lafia Dole started advancing towards the hideouts of their enemies, this time around final showdown.
It's not the days of sitting and waiting. So we are going all out to look for them. And that is what is going on. And they started running helter-skelter. That race they started from Lecham. They will not end it. In fact, as they are trooping into Alagarano area and some bit, those places will become their graveyard. Amen.
The troops recorded their first breakthrough with the arrest of these suspected Boko Haram members in Makintakuri in Kaga local government area of Borno State, following intelligence report. At one of the battleground, troops of Sector 2, Operation Lafia Dole, displayed their gallantry by overpowering the insurgents, leading to the killing of 105 Boko Haram terrorists attempting to infiltrate Bunigari village, about 45 minutes drive from Damaturu, the Yobe state capital. Anti-aircraft gun, 3 GMPG and hard drugs were recovered from the insurgents during the operation. Ismail Musa, NTA News.
Onwards and upwards for the gallant troops. Next is a review of the week segments with Justin Bem Unyi.
Hello and welcome to the Week in Review segment. The week began on a footing of President Buhari's broadcast to the nation on directives and developments surrounding COVID-19, where he ordered the total lockdown of Kano State owing to a growing number of cases amid a mysterious disease. This was in line with the directive for a phased and gradual easing of the initial lockdown on the FCT, Ogun and Lagos states to take effect from May 4th, as well as restriction of interstate movement. The president also signed the proclamation order on the general management of COVID-19 in Lagos, Ogun, Kano, the FCT and other states in Nigeria. Now, sequel to this, head of service of the Federation directed officers on grade level 14 and above, as well as those on essential services, to resume work with effect from Monday, 4th May 2020 in the first instance, where offices are to open 3 times a week, Monday, Wednesday and Friday, to close at 2 p.m. And coming from the Vice President's office, Professor Emir at a virtual conference organized by Africa.com titled How Africa's Informal Sector Reacts to COVID-19, expressed the importance of providing support to small businesses in the informal sector as priority for economies aiming at lessening any adverse effect of the pandemic on the economy. In another meeting via video conferencing, the Economy Sustainability Committee led by Vice President Emir met with the Presidential Economic Advisory Council to rub minds on the action plan being prepared by the Economic Sustainability Committee aimed at helping the economy bounce back after COVID-19. And from the National Assembly, both the Senate and the House of Representatives reconvened from 6 weeks recess. From this development, the Senate approved 850 billion naira new external borrowing plan from the international capital market as requested by President Muhammadu Buhari for financing the 2020 budget deficit. In the meantime, the House of Representatives passed for second reading the Control of Infectious Disease Bill, which seeks to empower the Nigeria Center for Disease Control to effectively take charge during health emergencies such as COVID-19. And just before the week ended, May 1st was marked and celebrated as International Workers' Day with the theme, Maintaining Safety and Security at Workplace. In Nigeria, members of the organized labor marking the 2020 May Day focused celebration on COVID-19 and its socio-economic impact on the Nigerian working class. And this is where we end it here. Thank you very much for being a part of it. My name is Justin Bemunyi.
Thank you, Justin. Now, on a somber note, the Kano State government has confirmed the demise of the Emir of Ranu Emirate Council of Kano State, Alhaji Tafida Abubakar Illa, at the age of 75. A statement by the Senior Special Assistant to the Kano State government, Tanko Yakasai, who confirmed the death, said the royal father died on Saturday and his remains will be buried this evening in his emirate in Ranu. Ranu Emirate is one of 4 new emirates created recently in Kano State. And it's with that we conclude the news on NTA International at this hour. Many thanks for watching. I am Dennis Adigunloye.